Hey wine peeps, this is Caitlin coming to you live from White Bear Lake, Minnesota with a new wine. This is my first time doing a live vlog, so be kind. Let me know if there's anything you like to hear, don't like to hear, anything that's redundant. I'd love all of your feedback, so just wanted to intro with that. And without further ado, I'll introduce my first wine. I'm going to try and keep this video around 5 minutes just to kind of see how it goes, and if I get some good feedback, I'd love to continue to introduce you to some more wines. A little bit about my background. I do have a blog that's in progress right now. I'm not sure what the status is. I did buy a domain and try and get a website started about a year ago, and it's definitely harder than it seems. It's something that I'd love to continue to pursue, and I thought with everything going on in quarantine, now is probably a perfect time. So, the goal of my blog is to make wine less intimidating for new wine drinkers. So, if you're used to something like Barefoot, like just more basic brands, my goal is to get you to branch out and be excited about trying something new and make it less intimidating. So you're not at a wine store thinking, oh, like, I don't know if this is for me. That sounds scary. You can choose something beyond based on a pretty label and beyond just something that's familiar, because wine is fun and you can try something new all the time. So this wine actually is a Sauvignon Blanc from Chile. So this will be an interesting try. Typically Sauvignon Blanc is from New Zealand or from Oregon. Some highlights: Sauvignon Blanc has higher minerality, so you can get some grapefruit flavor, some just more like tannin to kind of make your cheekbones kind of tighten. So something that not everyone likes, but it's a good intro wine, especially if you like whites and are used to like sweeter whites. This was kind of something that I personally transitioned to after trying like Moscato and stuff like that. This was an easy jump from that for me personally. Again, everyone is different, so I don't read into the labels too much. I don't really read about like the notes of what they recommend, because something that I learned when learning to taste wine is that everyone tastes something different. So if you don't taste these notes or flavors, fragrances, things like that, you're not abnormal. Everyone's palate is different. So definitely keep that in mind and don't be intimidated by something a label says. Another fun thing too that I like to do, just so I can keep track of what I've drank and to try things from different regions, I use an app called Vivino. So it's kind of like another way of vlogging or just kind of keeping track of the wines that I try. My dad introduced me to it, and neither of us were like super knowledgeable of wine or anything like that. All of my wine knowledge comes from working at restaurants. And some were more fine dining restaurants, some were casual. I've worked at breweries, I've worked at dive bars, I've worked at several different restaurants. So my wine knowledge is kind of all across the board. I've definitely done the lower end of the spectrum and then also a very high end spectrum. But I don't have any formal, like official sommelier training, anything like that. So all of these opinions are my own. And that's why I love hearing you guys' criticisms, critiques. If you have any sort of information you'd like to share with me, I'm always open to that. So please don't hesitate to reach out, leave a comment, let me know how I'm doing. And anyways, so Vivino, I try and taste the wine first before I log it, because they do give you other people's comments too. So they'll ask you to say things like, this was sweet, this was fruity, I had notes of, or I sensed notes of X, X, and X. So without further ado, let's see what I think of this wine. Maybe. General, just basic, generic white wine glass, not specific to a Sauvignon Blanc. My parents don't have anything too crazy going on here. I'll go a little more because quarantine. I've never really met a wine I don't like either, so. Except I am not a fan of Moscato anymore, and sweeter wines are just not my jam. So that's why it was really fun for me to branch out and try something new. Oh, and about my blog, I try and choose wines that are around $10. And my goal for my blog was to then also pair a meal for two with that wine and try and keep the meal and the bottle of wine under $20. So a nice reasonable price for anyone that's being introduced to wine, that just wants to get their feet wet, not really sure if they're going to like something. You're not making a huge investment to learn something new. So let's see what I think about this wine. Can definitely smell the grapefruit right away. That's something that I typically smell in Sauvignon Blanc. I'm not a huge grapefruit fan, but I do like the freshness that it adds to a Sauvignon Blanc and just something different because this is a very unique style of wine. You can't smell many wines and say, oh yeah, this definitely smells like grapefruit or like tangy when you smell the wine. So definitely almost a tangy scent to the wine. On the palate, definitely first a huge hit of flavor. Tannin kind of makes your mouth like water when you take that first initial sip. What else? Definitely like some nice pear, freshness, fresh scent. It's a very refreshing wine. It leaves your mouth a little bit more dry. Very good summer wine. Very floral finish. Yeah, it's a great zipper. Let me go ahead and log this one so we can see what other people have to say. I also feel like when I'm typing out my notes on the wine personally, that kind of sparks some additional like flavors or just inspiration. So, and again, this is Brisa Sauvignon Blanc. It's a 2019 vintage from Chile. It's a pale yellow color. You can see that here. It's not necessarily like light. Okay, this is kind of funny. So I'm taking a picture for my app and I'm actually in the background on video. That's my first time having something like this happen. So it's kind of exciting. I'm sure there won't be a whole lot of people watching this video, but this is something I've dreamed of doing for a long time. So I got this wine at Total Wine here in Minnesota. And this is not my typical location. I actually live in Colorado. So this is not a liquor store I typically shop at. This was a nice value-priced wine. Vivino also gives you the price, and it is letting me know that this wine sells typically for $5.11. Out of 5 stars, it has 75 ratings, and people average this wine to be a 3.7. And again, that's all based on just anyone's opinion. Anyone can have this app, so you don't have to be a master wine drinker or anything like that to just throw your opinion out there, which is nice. But also take those ratings then with a grain of salt too, because everyone's palate's different. I'd give this about a 4. I do like it. Again, I've never met a wine I don't like, so definitely a good rating. I would definitely drink this again in the summer. This would be an awesome wine to make sangria with, like a really fruity sangria, and especially with the price tag associated with it as well, this would make a great wine to have sangria with and maybe have at a party, a graduation party, if those ever happen again. Just something to serve to people. So for my notes, saying dry, fruit forward. It kind of just means the fruit hits you right away first. Floral after the initial bitterness. Smells heavily of grapefruit. Awesome. So this app is another kind of just learning resource. I definitely learn from it every day. It gives you a fun little memo to like, this is my first Chilean Sauvignon Blanc, so it'll tell you, you just rated your first Chilean Sauvignon Blanc. So kind of cool. It lets you learn more about the style if you're interested in doing some research and learning more about the region the wine is from, stuff like that. So they also give you similar wines to buy, and you can purchase wines through this app as well. So And if you're curious, this is what people typically say about this wine. Taste characteristics. It's in between light and bold. It's definitely more dry than sweet. So that's kind of like, as I was saying with the Moscato, I don't like sweet wines. The opposite end of the spectrum from being sweet isn't like savory as if it would be for food, it's dry. So you either have dry or you have sweet. So I prefer dry wines for sure. This is definitely more acidic due to the grapefruit. So on this app, they rate either acidic or soft. They're classifying this, and I agree with the statement that this wine is definitely more acidic. Um, People talk about citrus, lemon, grapefruit for sure. Typical of a Sauvignon Blanc, grapefruit, and other citrus flavors. People also say tropical. Definitely get that hint. Tropical, pineapple, passion fruit. Some people mention apple, stone fruit, melon. And then it goes into what people say and give their descriptions of. This is kind of cool too. It does rank this to be one of the top 13% of wines in the world. Again, based on people's personal rankings. So, of all wines ever and among expert opinions, I mean, who knows what that would look like. Oh, and they do recommend pairing this with shellfish, goat cheese, and vegetarian entrees. Some goat cheese would be really delicious with this, like maybe a spinach salad with goat cheese, some strawberries if you're feeling really summery, walnuts. You could even candy your walnuts if you're feeling crazy. I love red onions in my spinach and goat cheese salads, so I always add slivered red onions. And then I do a balsamic dressing. A champagne vinaigrette would also be really good with this wine and would pair very well. If you did like grilled chicken on top, that would be an awesome meal, healthier option as well. Um, I could also picture this pairing well with like salmon, like a grilled or baked salmon option with some fresh veggies on the side. Um, I personally am having this tonight with a chicken tender salad because it's the day after Mother's Day. I am home at my parents' house and I've been cooking for them, my family of three, every day for the past probably 2 weeks, which has been awesome. And I love doing that because typically I live alone, but um, sometimes you need a break and you just have to have something quick and easy. And that'll be filling. The fried or like baked chicken tenders aren't necessarily the healthiest, but it's still an alternative. I was thinking about ordering pizza. So, yeah, a great pairing with this wine. I'm definitely going to add goat cheese to my chicken tender salad, make it just kind of like a chopped salad with a ton of veggies. And not sure what dressing I'm going to do with it yet. I usually freestyle that at the end, depending on the ingredients that I add throughout. So, just a really quick, easy meal and a delicious white wine to pair with that. So, hope you enjoyed my first wine vlog. Let me know if I should continue or if this was dumb and you think I'm dumb. And yeah, but either way, message, please go out and try a new wine that you've never tried before. They will surprise you. Don't be intimidated if you don't like something. There are so many more wines out there, and I encourage you to try something new. Quarantine's a great time for that. Social distance at the liquor store, social distance at home on the patio in nature, like me. So, yeah, happy to be here. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback. I would love to hear all of the above. And if there's a specific wine or type of wine you'd like me to try and then review for you, let me know. I didn't get super heavy into explaining a whole lot about this wine because I want it to be fun and unintimidating. But if you'd like me to give a couple more tasting notes and a couple more pairing options or ideas, that's something I would love to get into too. So just let me know what you'd like to see in these videos, and I will definitely try and cater more to those requests. You guys have a great night.